So Death Stranding 2 has been out for a hot minute. The verdict is in, and the general consensus is Kojima has created absolute cinema. No, seriously, from 118 critic reviews, this has got a 90% Metascore, universal acclaim, with many people citing that the game just feels like a huge improvement from Death Stranding 1 across the board. All of those friction points that made Death Stranding 1 maybe not appeal to people as much, they smoothed out in Death Stranding 2. They improved a lot of the action and stealth elements, giving players more tools both for navigation and deliveries and also for stealth action gameplay, combined with the fact that the game delivers some incredible cutscenes, the story people are praising, some of the epic sequences are utterly phenomenal. I myself did a review of the game, which you can check out right here. Better in every way is what I said it is, and I mean, I don't think there's any better way to put it. Utterly universally agreed upon is that this is one of the best looking games ever made. The Decima game engine is really putting work here and goes to show that not everything needs to run on Unreal Engine 5 to look absolutely gorgeous. What's crazy is that Death Stranding 2 doesn't even use ray tracing and it looks as good as it does. Now, it's already kind of apparent when you look at the environments of Death Stranding 2. You can just see a higher level of detail. The lighting is just better, and you can just see the improvements just when you play the game. But where the graphics leap becomes especially apparent, and this is something that the internet can't stop talking about after they noticed, is Norman Reedus' character model, and just character models across the board. So in Death Stranding 1, when I first watched that trailer, I remember thinking, man, yeah, that's Norman Reedus, and the graphics fidelity are top-notch. That is like pretty close to Norman Reedus when it comes to the character model. And it's not until I compare what Norman Reedus looks like from Death Stranding 1 to Death Stranding 2 that I realized, oh, wait, Death Stranding 1's Norman Reedus actually looks uncanny now by comparison. So right here we have a Twitter user who highlighted how we have seen Norman Reedus throughout the generations, from PS3 to PS4 to PS5. And looking at this, at first I thought, wait a minute, no way this is how Norman Reedus actually looked like in Death Stranding 1. No way this is actually how Sam's model looks like, because compared to Death Stranding 2, like back then it looked great, but now compared to that, it almost looks uncanny. The best way I can describe Death Stranding 1's character model now is it looks like somebody took a character creator and made a really good character model of Norman Reedus, but Death Stranding 2 actually looks fully like Norman Reedus, like he was actually fully facial scanned without any tweaks. Death Stranding 1 looks like the character creation version of Norman Reedus. And of course, you got the PS3 version. I mean, look at the fact that you can like gauge generations of graphics through Norman Reedus' character model is kind of hilarious. So, well, at first I thought, okay, looking at this, I was like, am I crazy, or is this just like a poorly framed shot of Norman Reedus from Death Stranding 1 that makes him look kind of uncanny? Turns out that is not the case at all. Here's Synth Potato, another Twitter user, highlighting the differences of Norman Reedus character models throughout the years. And you can see right here, The Walking Dead, I mean, Jesus, what the hell is this demon spawn? PT, there's a more accurate rendition right here. This actually looks pretty close to Norman Reedus, but I mean, when you compare that to what they did in Death Stranding 2, right here, look at like all these little micro details, the creases on his skin, the little pores, and the little protrusions here. I mean, there's just the level of detail here is actually utterly insane. And then I look at this right here. Yeah, this is actually from the original Death Stranding 1 trailer. And the final game that shipped, as far as Death Stranding 1 is concerned, it didn't stray too far from this character model. And now, like, it's crazy because back then I thought this looked really excellent. I thought this looked true to life to Norman Reedus. And now it looks like a Norman Reedus mask. It just looks like a fake Norman Reedus. The hair in particular, how much more that has improved in Death Stranding 2. You almost can't get better than this. This is just literally the actor. There is zero uncanniness to Death Stranding 2's version of Sam. And that becomes especially apparent when you look at Sam's in-game model, like via gameplay, not through cutscenes. So right here we have another post from Synth Potato that highlighted just how stark of a difference the in-game models between Death Stranding 1 and Death Stranding 2 look. Again, when I saw this back in the day when I first played Death Stranding 1, I went, wow, this is mind-blowing. The level of detail on this character model. Look how much like Norman Reedus this looks. And then I look at Death Stranding 2's in-game character model right here. This is Sam sitting in his private room in both Death Strandings. And now I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? It looks like somebody went into like, I don't know, Monster Hunter or, I don't know, Elder Scrolls and made a really accurate character creation rendition of the character. And it's not just Sam. Every other character model has been enhanced just the same. You look at Leia Sato's character Fragile from Death Stranding 1 to Death Stranding 2. Death Stranding 1 did a pretty good job. Like, you look at this and you go, this is Leia Sato. But you look at Death Stranding 2, the way her skin flushes, the way the light hits it, the way her hair just looks more true to life. And it just looks so much more like the true to life, the real life Leia Sato, the actor, than Death Stranding 1 does. Even though, again, Death Stranding 1, even by today's modern standards, it's still a gorgeous looking game. There's just something about the way skin is rendered in Death Stranding 2 that makes it look far less waxy like in Death Stranding 1. Like, it just looks like actual skin. There's just something about the way the light hits it, the shadows hit, and what details pop out that gives it that skin-like texture and not something that's like slightly plasticky or waxy. And then it's not just the still shots that look as good as they do. Even when these character models are in motion, they look equally as good. The thing that a lot of people highlight is when you get into that photo mode where you're taking photos of Fragile, Tomorrow, and Rainy just kind of doing poses. This right here, it's just the fact that in motion, it looks as good as it does, and like the animations, the facial animations, the movement, all of it obviously is performance captured. But I mean, you know, this stuff is like cutscene level fidelity, but happening in game. Now, looking at this, you can just see how much graphics continue to evolve. I feel like the differences are becoming less noticeable. Like, you know, obviously from PS2 to PS3, that graphical leap was much more noticeable, and certainly from PS1 to PS2. But even from PS4 to PS5, there are some significant strides that are made that once you put them side by side, it is kind of crazy. And that goes doubly true when you put Norman Reedus' face side by side. The fact that, again, generational graphics can be traced to how good Norman Reedus looks and how true to the actor Norman Reedus' character model looks, the fact that that can be like a bit of a graphic spectrum across the generations is kind of hilarious, but here we are, and it's wild. And tweets that have been highlighting this, you can see, have been going viral. You know, tens of millions of views. People really underestimated how good graphics in Death Stranding 2 looked, because Death Stranding 1 looked already so good. But beyond the graphics, Death Stranding 2 is genuinely just a good game. Again, I'm not sure it's entirely for everyone. I get that for some people that delivery style gameplay might be a bit monotonous, but again, I do feel like they implemented enough tweaks and changes, and like they paced everything better, and the greater focus on stealth action combined with the additional tools and additional enhancements and additional weapons, and there's just a level of player choice here that paves the road for an experience that feels far more easy to get into and to get hooked by and to be engaged in compared to Death Stranding 1. And so I think more people will be converted into Death Stranding by Death Stranding 2 because the tweaks are just so, like, even the little things, the quality of life stuff, the HUD and UI, and just little tweaks to like the way you interact with packages and the way you kind of manage packages, and just how much of the tedium has been erased from Death Stranding 2. All that goes a long way. And yeah, I mean, I want to congratulate Hideo Kojima and Kojima Productions for creating a game that is, you know, regardless of whether it's for you or not, it's just so wholly unique, and not just its gameplay, but its aesthetic and visuals. And that is all further elevated by just how much graphics have been pushed in this game. It really is one of the best looking games ever. And people just really, there's the level of buzz on social media when it comes to like how positively Death Stranding 2 has been impacting people. It's been really cool to see when there's just so much like generic slop being released in the AAA landscape. A game like Death Stranding 2, regardless of whether it's for everyone or not, it's just so refreshing. But then like when it's executed at a level of excellence that is portrayed with the game's visuals and all of the like design elements and all the gameplay considerations, I mean, that to me is what gaming is all about. That's what I think more creators need to strive for. Anyway, that's just one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on Death Stranding 2, if you yourself have played the game, or, based on the reviews out there, is this something you'll eventually pick up, or are you still not about this kind of experience? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.